Hello beloveds, welcome to today's devotional. This week we are looking at things that really matter. You know, Paul told us in Philippians 1 verse 10, "For I want you to understand what really matters." And what we are doing this week is we are looking at the 7 messages Jesus gave the 7 churches in the book of Revelation. And from those messages we can really see what matters to Jesus. And what matters to Jesus should also matter to us as His followers. And yesterday we saw that love matters from the message He gave the church at Ephesus. And today I want us to look at the message Jesus gave the church at Smyrna. And He said the following in Revelation 2 verse 10 to 11. And this was a church that was really facing intense persecution. And Jesus told them, "Do not fear any of those things which you are about to suffer. Indeed, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison, that you may be tested, and you will have tribulation 10 days. Be faithful until death, and I will give you the crown of life. He who has an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. He who overcomes shall not be hurt by the second death." So I don't understand everything about that message, and I don't understand what Jesus meant there by 10 days. But what I can see from it is that all pain is always temporary. You know, that's what I believe Jesus meant when He said you will suffer for 10 days, reminding them that it's always temporary. So what Jesus told this church basically was that eternity matters. You know, it is so important for us to be mindful of eternity. The Apostle Paul said the following in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. He said, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. While we do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal." You know, Paul called these afflictions light afflictions, even though they weren't really very light. But I believe what enabled him to do so was the fact that he had an eternal perspective. See, Paul was so mindful of eternity, and he wasn't focusing on things that were just temporary. And that enabled him to be an overcomer. See, we should be mindful of eternity too, and we should know that eternity matters. And that will really help us to remain positive, even though we live in a negative world. I'm not saying that life on earth doesn't matter. I'm not saying that we can't experience a fruitful life while we are here. I'm not saying that we can't experience the goodness of God while we are here. But we should also be mindful of eternity. Jesus reminded the church at Smyrna there that eternity matters. Even though they were facing persecution, even though they were suffering things, Jesus reminded them that it was only temporary and that eternity matters. Hebrews 10 verse 35 also says, "But others were tortured, refusing to turn from God in order to be set free. They placed their hope in a better life after the resurrection." So while you are expectant to experience the goodness of God in the land of the living, also place your hope in the resurrection life. Also remember that eternity matters, and all pain is temporary. Remember, you are highly favored and deeply loved.